The explosive fury of the self-proclaimed Michael Jordan. Angel Reese reportedly erupted in uncontrollable fury after learning she was tossed to the Atlanta Dream for a price that deeply insulted her professional dignity. Amidst her public narrative that she is the Michael Jordan of women's basketball, the Chicago Sky treated her like a clearance item in a bargain bin. Reese allegedly feels betrayed because the Sky didn't just dump her, they deliberately allowed the truth about her internal behavior to leak to the public. For Reese, this wasn't just a standard trade. It was a systemic attempt to destroy the reputation she painstakingly built through social media.
She cannot accept being replaced by future assets whose value is yet to be realized, while she claims to be worth more than the entire Chicago Sky organization itself, sparking a level of tension and ego clashing never before seen in the league. The tragedy of the Sky's bargain bin trade deal. The basketball world stood paralyzed when the details of the Angel Reese trade were finally revealed. The Chicago Sky accepted just 2 late first-round picks and a second-round swap. No cash, no returning stars, absolutely no immediate value. Fans and analysts quickly dubbed this the bargain bin trade because Reese, a 2-time All-Star, was exchanged for what amounts to pocket change on the open market. If Reese was truly as great as she claimed, why was Chicago so desperate to get rid of her that they accepted such minimal compensation? The speed at which the Sky agreed to this low-ball deal sent a chilling message to the rest of the league. For Chicago, removing the drama and the headaches brought by Reese was far more valuable than getting fair market value for a player who dominated the rebounding charts. The turning point of the September detrimental suspension. The facade of professionalism at the Chicago Sky completely collapsed last September when they officially suspended Angel Reese. This drastic move was triggered after Reese gave a provocative interview to the Chicago Tribune, where she publicly belittled her teammates' quality and demanded great new players.
The label detrimental to the team wasn't just a phrase, it was a legal document marking the end of the organization's patience. Chicago no longer cared about Reese's rebounding stats. They cared about the fact that she had become a toxin, destroying internal harmony. That half-game suspension was the first written proof that the relationship between the star and the club was broken beyond repair, showing that behind the scenes, management had long been preparing an exit for a player they felt put herself before the team. The betrayal of Courtney Vandersloot's lasting legacy. One of Reese's greatest sins in the eyes of the Chicago internal office was her disrespectful treatment of team legend Courtney Vandersloot. While Vandersloot, a deeply respected veteran, was struggling to recover from an injury, Reese launched public comments calling her old and unreliable. Attacking a wounded teammate is considered a massive breach of ethics in professional sports. This didn't just hurt Vandersloot personally, it made players across the entire league feel disgusted with Reese's attitude. The Sky saw this as definitive proof that Reese lacked leadership qualities and viewed others merely as tools for her personal ambition. This betrayal created a permanent rift in the locker room that made management realize the team culture would never recover as long as Reese was still occupying a seat in that building. The mystery of Camila Cardoso and the teammate exodus.
The situation with Camila Cardoso, Reese's front-court partner, became the most visible evidence of how unstable the atmosphere in Chicago had become. Internal reports indicated that Cardoso actually walked out or staged a silent protest because she could no longer tolerate Reese's behavior, especially toward the younger players on the roster. When your own partner on the floor feels better sitting on the opponent's bench than playing beside you, it is no longer just a personality clash. It is a profound failure of character. History shows that wherever Reese plays, whether Maryland, LSU, or Chicago, she always leaves a trail of friction and locker room conflict. The Sky observed this pattern closely and decided they would not sacrifice the future of Cardoso, who they viewed as more talented and professional, for a player who creates chaos. The back injury lie and the scandalous Vegas twerking video. Reese's credibility was shattered when she missed games citing a back injury, only for a video to surface shortly after showing her partying and dancing in Las Vegas. For Chicago Sky management, this was a massive slap in the face to an organization struggling on the court. How could a player claiming a severe back injury be so physically active at a nightclub? The massive disconnect between the medical narrative and the social reality convinced the Sky that Reese had mentally quit on the team.
While she enjoyed the luxury of a private jet, her teammates were forced to fight without her. This scandal became the final nail in the coffin of Reese's career in Chicago, proving that her commitment to the team was merely an act for the cameras, while her true priority was a celebrity lifestyle and social media attention. The horrific tactical death trap of the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream might be celebrating Reese's arrival, but they are actually walking into a lethal tactical trap. With Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones already in the paint, Atlanta's front court is now incredibly slow and congested. Reese, who has limited long-range shooting ability, will only make the area under the rim a battlefield for her own teammates. Facing a team like the Indiana Fever, which relies on the pace and space created by Caitlin Clark, Atlanta will look like a rigid giant that is easily bypassed. Griner might be great at post defense, but she cannot chase players like Aaliyah Boston to the perimeter, and Reese only worsens the spacing issues. Atlanta just traded their future for a player who fundamentally does not fit the modern basketball scheme, creating a ticking time bomb ready to explode. The bitter reality behind the meows statistics. Although Reese led the league in rebounds, the Chicago Sky exposed the bitter reality behind those numbers, the meows phenomenon. Presenter TV host. Many of her offensive rebounds came from her own missed shots on poor close-range attempts, creating stats that looked impressive but actually destroyed the team's offensive efficiency. Opponents realized they only needed to let Reese shoot and wait for her to miss because she posed no threat from mid-range or beyond. In a modern basketball system, a player who cannot draw a defender out is a massive burden. The Sky realized that Reese's rebounding stats did not contribute to winning, they only filled her personal box score. Chicago's decision to prioritize players with better shooting ability was an admission that efficiency is far more important than a volume of rebounds produced by repeated failure. The verdict of Chicago, choosing Cardozo over Reese. The most painful blow to Angel Reese's ego was the fact that the Chicago Sky explicitly chose to build their future around Camila Cardozo. The organization conducted a deep evaluation and concluded that Cardozo was a more valuable centerpiece because she works within the system, not against it. Cardozo offers superior defensive capabilities and a professional attitude that doesn't drain the coaching staff's energy every 3 weeks. Choosing Cardozo meant Chicago was publicly stating that Reese's social media popularity was not worth the raw talent and stable character Cardozo brings to the table. It is a cold verdict declaring that Reese is not a player who can be trusted to lead a franchise to a title.
For Reese, being the second choice behind her own teammate is a much bigger insult than just being traded. The unstoppable dominance of Caitlin Clark. In the midst of the chaos surrounding Reese, Caitlin Clark at the Indiana Fever continues to prove why she is on a completely different level. Clark didn't just break 62 records in her first year, she led her team to the playoffs without ever suspending herself or attacking teammates in the newspapers. The difference between Clark and Reese is now crystal clear. Clark is a catalyst for winning, while Reese is a magnet for drama. Heading into the 2026 season, Indiana sits pretty with a solid, healthy roster, while Atlanta must struggle to manage Reese's ego and tactical limitations. Chicago fans feel victorious because they are finally free from the Reese circus, while Fever fans can't wait to see Clark dismantle Atlanta's slow defense. Angel Reese might call herself Michael Jordan, but history will record her as a player with big numbers who failed to win.